I'd like to call the Curriculum Subcommittee meeting. Today is Wednesday, September 28th, and the time is 6:32 p.m. I do need to read something. So this meeting will be held and will be accessible to the public via Brockton Community Access, Brockton Public Schools website, www.bpsma.org, YouTube and Comcast channel 98 and 1071 HD version. The public can access this meeting via this link, www.youtube.com/TheBrocktonChannels. So I'd like to establish a quorum. Mr. Homer.
Here.
Mrs. Rivas Mendez.
Here.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Here.
Mr. Timothy Sullivan.
Here.
And the chair is present. I'd like to also announce that the mayor had a scheduling conflict this evening. He was going to join us in the audience. And Mrs. Ehlers is actually stuck in traffic, so she is going to try her best to make the curriculum subcommittee meeting. So the first item on our agenda, actually, Mrs. Cunningham, we do have a quorum? Yes, we do. Perfect. So the first item is the presentation of the proposed new elementary ELA curriculum. Wonders, so we have Ms. Sharon Wolder, Deputy Superintendent of Teaching and Learning. We have Dr. Karen Spalding, Assistant Superintendent of Teaching and Learning for K through 5, and Dr. Michelle Morrissey Smith, Pre-K to 5, Coordinator of ELA and Social Studies. You're going to give us a presentation, and we will have a potential vote after the presentation for the members. Thank you.
First of all, thank you for being here this evening. We are extremely excited to do this presentation. It was the result of a lot of work of many educators in the district, and we are really excited to share it with you. So thank you. We know this is a busy time. So we want to talk to you a little bit about, just sort of lay the groundwork of why are we talking about a new ELA curriculum. We'll share with you the selection process, which was a rigorous process that we went through. We'll talk to you about Wonders, which is the name of the curriculum that we are proposing. Share with you the implementation plan, and then talk to you about cost and next steps. So when we think of curriculum selection processes and high quality curriculum, there's some really good reasons why we should have high quality curriculum in the hands of teachers. First of all, choosing it and having a high quality curriculum can be as impactful as the quality of the teacher. The impact of the high quality curriculum materials can be as much as the difference of the impact of a first-year teacher versus a third-year teacher. And this third one is particularly important. When teachers don't have access to high quality curriculum, they resort to pulling resources and things together for themselves in the best interest of students, for sure. But we know from the research that that does not impact learning in positive ways in the same way high quality curriculum does. And we know that that impact, that negative impact, is felt particularly hard for students from lower socioeconomic families, as well as students of color. And then finally, if you're wondering, but why a new curriculum now? What about the curriculum that's in place? So Reach for Reading is the current curriculum. It's been in place in the district for a couple of years. And according to Ed Reports, which is an organization that regularly, a national organization that regularly and rigorously reviews curriculum, Reach for Reading did not fully meet the criteria that Ed Reports set forth. And so after reflection on the data, reflection on that information, the district set out to embark on a selection process to ensure that high quality curriculum is in the hands of all its teachers. In addition to high quality curriculum mattering, reading and writing matters. It matters a lot. In fact, I would equate equity with literacy and the ability to read. By the end of third grade, 74% of students who struggle to read will likely never catch up. More than 85% of the curriculum, so this is in every subject area, is taken in some way connected to reading, whether students are reading text or they're reading images on a board or interpreting images on a board or sharing their writing with each other and having to read. 85% of that relies on reading. And in 2021, I would have shared 2022, but that data is still embargoed. So 2021, only 19% of grade 3 students in the Brockton Public Schools met or exceeded expectations on the ELA MCAS. And I'll just read that quote out loud at the bottom because I think it's powerful. Literacy is inseparable from opportunity, and opportunity is inseparable from freedom. The freedom promised by literacy is both freedom from ignorance, oppression, and poverty, and freedom to do new things, to make choices, to learn. So I will hand this over to Dr. Michelle Morrissey-Smith, who will share with you the process that folks in the Brockton Public Schools went through.
Thank you so much. So in early 2022, after Brockton Public Schools received a DESE grant, we partnered with the Hill for Literacy with Dr. Darcy Burns, who is held in high regard with the DESE in the area of literacy. Together, we developed a rigorous field testing process to select our new ELA curriculum tool. 3 ELA curriculum tools were identified. To be a part of that field testing process, those 3 were selected because they received the highest ratings on Ed Reports, which Dr. Spalding referred to, as well as on the DESE's Curate process, which the highest rating is called Meet Expectations. We selected a total of 40 Brockton Public School educators to complete the field testing process. And of the 3 ELA curriculum tools, the 40 participants recommended we go forth with the recommendation of Wonders 2020. In July 2022, we knew that Wonders 2023, which is a revision of Wonders 2020, was available. It included several enhancements. So a subgroup of that original 40 BPS educators who field tested in early 2022 worked together this summer in July and August to review Wonders 2023. Oh, I may have gone too quickly. Excuse me. Here we go. Sorry about that. And together, they overwhelmingly supported the adoption of Wonders 23. All right, now it's time. Here we go. So now, are you wondering how Wonders 2023 addresses literacy skills? Well, first, what we as educators refer to as foundational skills. That means word recognition. And word recognition is recognizing the words on the page. When we hand children a book, can they read the words on the page? Wonders instruction does support the teaching of word recognition through the lens of the science of reading. Second, what we refer to as language comprehension, which you may know as vocabulary instruction, understanding text. Something that's really important to us is higher order thinking skills. We want our children to understand and problem solve. That's a lifelong skill. All of those things, there's specific instruction in Wonders 2023, building background knowledge. Okay, and third, there's also instruction specifically to multi-language learners in 4 different modes: in listening, speaking, reading, and writing. All of that specifically for multi-language learners. There's also instruction specifically for writing and really looking at standards, English conventions, such as how to write a complete sentence, what is proper grammar, okay? All of that instruction is in there as well. And then similar to an MCAS, there's a lot of information in there on instruction for responding to what a student reads, but responding through writing, the mode of writing. In today's world, we know that we also have to include social emotional learning with any tool that we select. We want to make sure that every Brockton Public School student has the confidence when they pick up a book, they have the confidence that they can read it. We want to make sure that we provide instruction that is addressing higher order thinking skills so they have problem solving skills for the rest of their lives. So the other thing is also their social behaviors that are incorporated into the Wonders 2023 program through the Science of Reading.
So we do recognize that it is unusual to present a proposal for a curriculum adoption in the fall. And so this timeline hopefully will help explain why that is. Again, when we went through the process last spring and came to the conclusion that Wonders 2020 was the curriculum that we should adopt, and then heard that Wonders 2023 was published and ready to go, given such a large investment and given what we had learned about the enhancements that had been made to 2023, most especially supporting our English learners, we wanted to do due diligence and do a rigorous process through the summer. And so that is the work that Dr. Michelle Morrissey-Smith led with educators. We did present that process and our findings to the partners at the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, who overwhelmingly supported our decision to make the recommendation of Wonders 2023. And so then we were faced with the end of the summer and how do we get materials and properly support teachers in terms of professional development, all things that we would not have been able to do with high quality to start the school year. However, we also did not want the children of Brockton to have to wait another whole year till the fall of 2023 in order to implement. And so we had a lot of conversation with the folks at McGraw-Hill to really to sort of come to a plan that would get the materials and the professional development with the teachers, which is where we needed it, so that our students could access high quality curriculum sooner rather than later. And so our target date for implementation is January 3rd, 2022, which again we recognize is a bit unusual, but we do have what we would consider a thoughtful plan for how to do that. And so that plan includes really supporting teachers in a quality way in terms of professional development. What we know from the research is that there's really 3 pillars of support for teachers when you're thinking about implementing a curriculum. One of those is training, which is where to find the resources, how to find the teacher's guide, how to access the online resources, those kinds of things. And then there's planning support, which is working side by side with teachers to plan out lessons and units of study. And then coaching. And as you know, thanks to the support, the ongoing support of the school committee, we do have coaches at the elementary level in all of the buildings. And so doing work with the coaches to really focus their coaching and support on implementation of the curriculum. In addition to that, one of the things that you heard Dr. Michelle Morrissey-Smith speak to and is addressed in the Wonder slide was a shortcoming in Reach for Reading, is really fostering foundational skills in reading. And one of the areas in education that we actually know a lot about is teaching children to read. We know how to teach children to read. There is a a huge research base, the largest of any research base in education is teaching children to read. It's really pretty clear how to do that, and that is to focus on foundational skills in a thoughtful sequence over time. And so we are, as part of this implementation, we are supporting and building capacity to make sure that all of our teachers and all of our leaders are well rooted in the science of reading literature and really understanding that. So when they implement Wonders, which has the science of reading as its foundation, we can really support and really see some gains in reading. So the total cost, which includes 6 years of Wonders, as well as support from Hill for Literacy on that implementation support, especially around the science of reading and building that capacity, is just over $2 million. Those funds, in talking with both Chris Carrera and Aldo, those funds have been already secured through planning, thoughtful planning with ESSER 3. And so our next steps is to ask for the committees, the school committee's approval, work with the business office to order materials, and then the plan is to start professional development, if all of that goes well, on October 13th. And so we have looked at available professional development time and really put our heads together about how we can really capitalize on that time to give teachers, again, the support they need, both as we head into implementation as well as once implementation begins, so we can take stock in where we are and make sure that we're really meeting the needs of all children. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Spalding and Dr. Michelle Marcy-Smith for the presentation. So at this time, do any of the members have any questions or statements with regard to our presentation? Mr. Sullivan?
Yes. Wonders 2020, what was the cost of that? Do you remember? About the same?
Yes. Yes, it was very similar. It was right in the same ballpark. Yes. 1.8.
Is that for 6 years as well?
Yes, 6 years is actually less expensive, Mr. Sullivan, than purchasing for 5 years, no matter which product we went with. It costs less to go for 6.
I was just wondering if you get any money back on the 2020? Can you turn it back in to get money?
Yeah.
No, you already have it.
Right now, we have Reach for Reading, which we've had for about 8 years. I have several conversations with the Department of Ed. Reach for Reading is not highly thought of at all by the Department of Ed, and it's not well curated. We've had it for, again, 8 years, and our scores have not moved. The Department of Ed provided us with the grant to study. The Department of Ed, to be clear, they can't tell you to buy new curriculum, but they can hint and be very clear that, and they have been with me and with Sharon over the past 3 years that I've been superintendent, that pretty much saying your ELA curriculum at elementary level is not up to par, and it does not fit well with students, multilingual learners. It does not fit well with our students with disabilities. The materials just don't work for them. It's also not culturally adequate with how we're supposed to be looking at curriculum now. So they recommended, even though they can't force you to buy new curriculum, they recommended highly that we needed to move away from Reach for Reading. And again, they provided us with a grant to be able to spend the money on all the 40 people that were able to do the professional development to select this. And we have to use the curated materials through the Department of, and that's why they only looked at the 3 that were highly recommended. in Wonders 2020 at the time, and then they came out with the 2023 version during this process. And it was the work that Karen and Michelle did with the educators to make, they pretty much curated the 2023 version for the Department of Ed. And the process that they use, the Department of Ed is going to use across the state. So, it's something that's been, and it's part of our MOU with DESE, with the commissioner, is that we really needed to take a hard look at our curriculum from K to 12. And ELA was, at the elementary level, they strongly recommended that we needed a new curriculum. And so that's where we are.
Thank you, Superintendent.
I withdraw that question. I thought we had 2020 Wonders already.
Sorry.
I was
my
misinformed.
fault.
Thank you.
I should have been more clear. So we looked at 2020, but we did not purchase. That was
Okay.
the recommendation until a month later. Then we saw 2023. And we
Okay.
said, let's compare the two. In 2023 had so many more enhancements. We said, why are we spending this money if we can get a better program for the same amount?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank
Much
you.
better.
Thank you. Any other members? Mr. Homer.
Sorry, I have several questions, sorry. First one, maybe just for Superintendent Thomas, you might be able to help us. Was Reach for Reading, I know you said it was 8 years ago that they adopted that. Was that curated by DESE for Tom?
Yes, it was, and it was not highly rated at that time it was selected.
Okay. I know that was, I think curriculum and selection of curriculum was something that we had been cited on as a district before. So I know, as it was mentioned too, that this program is supported by DESE for Brockton. And DESE supports the selection of this program too. That kind of led me to two more questions. One, are other districts adopting this curriculum as well beyond just Brockton?
So across the Commonwealth, many people received this DESE grant to do the work that we did here in Brockton Public, and most school districts across the Commonwealth went with Wonders materials.
I had a follow-up question about the idea of the field testing. I just didn't know, when you mentioned that it was field tested by the 40 teachers, was that done in classrooms during the last school year? Were they using like the Wonders 2020 curriculum to field test it?
Okay, so yes, of the 40 educators, just so I'm clear, not all of them were classroom teachers. There were some administrators. There was, out of the 40, every person represented students in Brockton Public Schools. So the classroom teachers actually used materials in their classroom of the 3 products.
Sorry, just last couple of questions here. So they had Wonders 2020, they updated it to 2023 within 3 years, and then this is a contract for 6 years. So what would we do if they make another update to the 2023 curriculum while we're contracted to use that, if they have a more up-to-date model that comes out?
I can just tell you what Brockton Public has done in the past, just because I'm 100 years old. And what we have done is, for example, when we had other materials prior, if there were new tools that were added, the company typically says, you made this commitment, we will support you by providing you these tools. That's typically what has been done in the past. Okay?
I'm just thinking in terms of all the textbooks and things, if new modules come out, if new stuff is added, do we get new product too? Okay, that's helpful.
Just another piece that has to add to that is that quite often there are materials not just in hard copy, but also online. So that may help as well.
Okay. Last one, I promise. Can you talk about, do we have to look at any disruptions to rolling out the curriculum in January of the school year, especially before the 3rd graders are getting ready to do MCAS in the spring? Is there overlap? Are they going to continue to use some modules or Reach for Reading while the new stuff is rolled out? Do we anticipate that they're just going to scrap Reach for Reading this year and switch in January and go right to the new formula? And I'll stop now. Thank you.
No, that's a great
It's
question.
a great
So,
question.
So, as I described a little bit earlier, we in the literature know a whole lot about how to teach reading, and it's really clear which skills should be introduced when, regardless of what the curriculum is. And so the work that Dr. Michelle Morrissey-Smith is doing with the literacy coaches is communicating to teachers in terms of skills, reading skills, and sort of those foundational skills. This is where you should be by, say, the beginning of December, mid-December. And then doing the work of doing a crosswalk and looking at Wonders curriculum and identifying where would those skills pick up in the Wonders curriculum. And so, for example, for grade 4, let's say, it might be picking up at Unit 7, because that's where the skills that they would then be embarking on would pick up. And from the student's perspective, they're used to having different curriculum materials for different units, especially in science, for example, where it just looks different. You know, we're in something for a few months and then it's a new set of materials. But the through line will be that thoughtful progression of building of foundational reading skills and writing skills as the year goes through. The other piece that we have in place that is from the beginning of this year right through the year is both the Lexia Core 5, which is a supplemental material, and that supports reading development as well. And that's something that we have, it was introduced full district last year, and that is something that all teachers are doing with their students, and that provides ongoing data. It's an adaptive program that responds to how students are doing in building those reading skills, and so we will have that in place all year long, so we can keep really, honestly, like week by week tabs on how those reading skills are developing over time. And we have Lexia English for our English learners as well. Did I capture that well? Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Homer. Actually, those were some great questions. Covered a lot of information. Any of the other members with any questions or comments?
Can I, Karen or Michelle, can you expand on the struggles REACH has with English language learners and students with disabilities? Like the difference, like how much this is going to change for them? Another big reason why we need to update the curriculum.
So the first, as Dr. Spalding said, we all know that children, when they have print in front of them, the first thing we need to make sure that they know is how to lift the print off the page or read the words. Reach for Reading is not well known for being able to, it's not an instructional tool to teach children how to read the words, or what we say sound symbol relationship, sight words. It's not the tool. It's on the DESE website as it could not go through the curate process because there wasn't enough in there to even consider looking at to go through curate. That's one piece. The other piece, for culturally responsive text, sometimes it may not be reflective of what we are expecting at this point from a tool that we're putting in front of our children. It can be through images, it could be through the content, all of those items.
Do you want me to add to that?
Sure.
Yeah. And then in addition to that, one of the switches in Wonders 2023 in particular was support materials for small instruction with English learners. And so, you know, we know that language development and that language development needs to happen hand in hand in a content area. And so it is a seamless connection between the language development as well as the development of reading and writing skills. And that is ever present throughout the Wonders curriculum and not so present in Reach for Reading.
Thank you. Any of the other members? So we will be looking for a vote this evening, whether or not to vote yes or no on this, on the new curriculum. So, to send to the full committee. Mr. Sullivan?
I'll make the motion. The motion is to accept Wonders 2023 as presented tonight.
And be brought forth to the full committee for a vote.
Correct.
Second.
So a motion's been made by Tim Sullivan. It's been seconded by Jared Holmer. If we can get all in favor, a show of hands. So that is unanimous. All the committee members have voted yes on that, Ms. Cunningham. There is no, but any noes? And there are no noes. Okay. Thank you so much for the presentation. We are looking forward, again, giving our teachers and our students the material that they need. We're just one step closer to achieving some of our goals. Thank you so much.
And then on behalf of myself and the committee, we want to thank everybody that did this much work, the both of you, the 40 staff members that spent a lot of time and effort putting into this, the review process, the piloting. It's a lot to take on, and it's much appreciated because it will really change things for our students. So thank you for your hard work. Thank you, Michelle. Michelle put a ton of time in,
Thank
and
you.
Michelle's, the state is very impressed with her work on this, and they'll probably steal some stuff from her to use statewide, which is impressive.
Thank
It's
you.
impressive.
I do have a quick question. So looking at the next steps, it says we have to go to the school committee as a whole, but then it says order business material and then professional development October 13th. So our next official school committee meeting is October 11th. Is that gonna? You should be fine.
Yeah, that works.
Okay.
That's fine.
Perfect. Okay. Just wanted to make sure if we had to, we could try to figure something out. So October 11th is perfect.
That works.
Thank you so much. Okay. Next item on the agenda is other business. Do we have any other business, bless you, before curriculum? None. So then can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
A motion's been made by Mr. Rodriguez and
Second.
properly seconded by Mr. Homer. All in favor of adjourning? Unanimous. Thank you. Have a wonderful evening. Meeting adjourned.